All right, welcome back to Branching Out, where real estate meets real life. And I am here today with one of my good friends, Tamara Bunte. Thank you for being here.
For having me.
Yes, we met probably about 3 years ago now.
Gosh, wow.
I know, it has been forever. We actually met at a Real Estate Investor Association meeting.
Yeah.
You were the presenter, had no idea who you were. I think it was like my second or third meeting that I went to. And after you gave your presentation, I was like, I need to be friends with this woman. She is a wealth of knowledge and she's going to help me explode my real estate investing career. Because that's why I was there, obviously, to learn how to invest in real estate. And when you were talking about all of the, so Tamara's a sales coach, didn't say that, professional sales coach. So you were giving all of your tips and tricks on how to build that side of the business.
And you were just getting into it.
And I was just getting into it. So I kind of met you, right place, right time.
Yes.
And now we've been good friends ever since. So thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So let's talk a little bit about you. Tell us how you got into what you're doing. Tell us about your business. We'll start there.
Yes. Well, it's been about 18 years. Believe it or not, my own business.
Okay.
I know I look
young.
Your
own business for 18 years. That's awesome.
Yeah. But I actually got into sales training, and this will help your audience because I absolutely hated sales. Hated it.
That's perfect. I think most people probably do.
Yeah, they do not like it.
Yeah.
And so I'm actually kind of a closet introvert, and I was like, this isn't for me. I don't have the right personality. But I was kind of thrown into it. And then one day I had no leads, nothing happening, and just complaining. And at the time I was working for Dale Carnegie before I started my business. And he said, well, Tam, you have two choices.
Wait, Dale Carnegie said this?
Well, no, I worked for Dale Carnegie. My boss said this.
Did you ever meet Dale Carnegie?
Well, no, he died.
Okay, I was
like
wondering.
1952.
Okay.
So,
okay. I didn't know that.
But it's still the second most sold book in America is How to Win Friends and Influence People. But I worked for, I was down in Florida, working for the franchise down in Florida. And I was complaining to my boss, and he said, we have two choices. He said, be the best or get out of the game. And I said, fine, I'll be so good at this sales stuff. I'll teach it one day. And so it's funny today. I just saw him last year. He's like, I still tell everybody that you hated sales and now you teach it. But the good news is I like to show a classier approach. So we have to get rid of all that sales jargon from 1950s that just doesn't work today. And so really, how are you going to solve problems for people rather than just talk about the shiny objects and why we're great? And I've been around for 50 years. Nobody cares. So how do you really see things from the other person's perspective? And how do you negotiate better, right?
Yes, that's what we all want to know. We all want to know how to get a good deal.
That's right. Well, the biggest mistake I see is that when people attempt to negotiate, there is no negotiation. Because you usually come in so low out of fear that there's no negotiation. That actually never happens. But from a real estate perspective, it's a little bit different. And so I know you've been in it and, you're out there and building business, and your best way now is obviously referrals, right? Yeah. But what would you say your audience you think struggles with the most? Because you have a school, so you're teaching.
We do.
You're teaching it.
I think that it is the taking action aspect. Like when people figure out real estate investing, when they're like, oh my gosh, I've never really heard of this. This is really interesting to me. I could have financial freedom. That brings them in. And then it's like, then you start learning, and then it's the analysis paralysis. So then there's that point where it's like, when do I take action? Because I feel like I've learned a lot, but I don't have any experience. But then it's like, well, how do I actually jump into it? So I think that's where the gap is. It's like, where does learning end and action start? So,
well, action trumps theory any day of the week. So I tell people, actually, one of my rental properties, I got simply by knocking on the door. And I just said, would you be willing to sell your house? And I actually knocked on 6 doors. Four out of the 6 were willing to sell.
Wow.
And
where was this?
In Ballantyne.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And so it's so funny because one of the ladies, the one I ended up buying, because I liked the location the best, is she says, thank you, Lord. Yes, I want to sell. She had an arm coming up and needed to sell. And then I went in, renovated it. Then she wanted to buy it back because it looked so much better. She had done nothing.
Funny.
But really, I think, and I tell people the best piece of advice from a sales perspective is just make one phone call, knock on one door, because that is going to make you feel more successful. It's like the theory of make your bed and you'll have a better day. I actually do have a better day when I make my bed. So there's something to that. But I will tell you, I tell salespeople all the time, you don't have to go make 100 dials. You can be really successful making one. Like knock on one door, call one person and ask for multiple vertical referrals. And then it's like, if the whole rest of the day falls apart, that's 5 a week, that's 20 a month, that's 240 a year.
It's that consistency.
It really is. And it's simple, but not easy. Mm-hmm. So it's, but a lot of times I think people just don't even know what to do. They don't know what to say. They don't know who to call. They think they're an interruption. They have all of this head garbage that they need to just eliminate. Mm-hmm. And then like to tell people, you're only as good as your friendships. So who are you spending time with?
Yeah, that is true. And that brings up a lot of good points. Mm-hmm. So the first point I want to bring up is when people first get into real estate investing, one of the first things that they teach you when you go to these real estate investor associations, when you buy these get rich quick programs, is to find distressed houses and knock on doors and drive for dollars. Like that's kind of like basic step number one.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where it starts. So in that point, you need to learn those phone skills. You can't be scared to pick up the phone and call people.
Right.
So,
and there's so many of those.
Yes.
There's so many distressed properties.
Yes. So many. And I mean, that's how you found yours, right? Were you just knocking on doors at distressed properties?
Well, they weren't distressed.
Okay.
Because but I wanted, what was most important to me is location, right? That's what they teach in real estate. Location. I was like, I know this location's not going to be bad. And I wanted to do more of a luxury rental, which now that property pays for my entire mortgage on my other house and that rental property.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So it's like, but that was just kind of, I knew someone that did that. And I said, well, I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
So that was just kind of my strategy with it. But the cool part is that everything is for sale. And most people don't think that. Well, it's not for sale, so they're not going to sell. I'm like, well, that's just because no one's asked.
So what's the best way to start those conversations then? So like if you're driving around looking for distressed houses, no one's there. When you pick up the phone and call someone, or if you do knock on the door and someone's there and they are the owner, how do you start that conversation? Because I think that is something that real estate investors out there who are just starting really like to know, because I think that may be where the holdup is. They're like, oh, I got someone on the phone, but it's like, and then they hang up because they're like, I don't even know what to do. Yeah. So how would you get that conversation even started?
Well, it's funny because there's a couple of things. One, the phone is much more effective and time effective than knocking on doors. Although I think everyone needs to diversify what they're doing. It makes me think of some land sales agents I was working with. And I was like, what would you say if you were to, call on a landowner, knock or call? And they had these long scripts. And I'm like, none of that works. One line. I was reaching out to see if you're open to selling all or part of your land. I mean, that's it. I was just knocking on the door to see if you're open to selling your house. I mean, it's one line.
And that's it. Just jumping right to that. No pleasantries, conversation beforehand. Yeah. Hey, it's Christina. I'm just calling to see if you're open and willing to selling your land.
Yeah.
It's that easy.
It's that easy.
It's that easy.
I mean, I double dog dare people just to do it. Because you don't have to have this long story and all of this stuff. Just ask them. Yeah. And then identify where you really want to be and, and what houses you want to buy. And I mean, you can find all that on Zillow. You can call right off of Zillow.
Yeah.
And just ask people.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So then we have someone who actually takes action, picks up the phone, calls someone, asks if they're willing to sell. What would be your next step? And then tied with that, your best kind of negotiation piece of advice from there. So
I took this 2-day negotiation course years ago, and
don't you teach negotiation?
Yeah, well, I have that within the sales training. Okay. I usually include it because people need that. Usually, they just have to negotiate with themselves to take better action. But you don't get what you deserve; you get what you negotiate. So it's no one ever pays you what you deserve. Like even in a job interview, you
Sure.
only get paid what you actually negotiate. So I would say that's the best quote I've ever heard on negotiation. And most people have too much fear. You can't have any fear in negotiation. You have to be able to walk away.
Can't
And
get emotionally involved.
you
Can't be afraid to hear no.
Yeah.
Just move on.
Yeah. So I think that's what it comes down to, is not being fearful and being able to walk away. But whoever has more scarcity, they say in a negotiation, if there's rapport, right? Whoever is more certain will usually win the negotiation. So if anyone has fear or scarcity, they typically will lose. So you want to make sure that you're not operating out of any kind of scarcity or, give up your hand.
Yeah.
Poker face.
That is a big thing that we teach here at
Yeah.
Branch Wealth Partners, is not to have a scarcity mindset.
Yeah.
There's plenty to go around. If one deal doesn't work out, one down the road will work out. So
yeah. And so sometimes I think it's if something doesn't work out, it's a blessing. Something else will come along. But you can't have any fear. You just have to move forward with what you want and what your minimum and maximum are. You have to know your numbers and what are you willing to do. But obviously I always think, you want a win-win. You don't want someone to feel taken advantage of, and you don't want to take advantage of somebody. I think that, and also there's so much business to go around. There's enough for everybody.
Yeah, it's true. One of the things that I have learned about negotiation is setting a hard anchor. And I try to do that all the time. And I also try to be on that fine line of setting a hard anchor and not, what's the word? And not insulting the seller or whoever you're negotiating with. So it has to be in that buffer. Greg kind of teaches when we're negotiating on buying properties to kind of stay in that 10% of the purchase price. It's typically where you won't insult somebody. Anything lower than 10% you may, but I'm not scared to go down to that 15, maybe 20% below because it's a starting point at least.
Right. Yeah.
And I always expect a counter. When I don't get counters from people, I'm like, why? You can just come back with a higher number and then we'll go from there.
Well, that's when people don't realize that there's always, everything's for sale all the time. Even if it's not listed, you knock on the door, they might just be ready to sell. I mean, that's the mindset most people are missing. They're missing that, just like the time the realtor I had was unwilling to knock on doors. I said, this is the neighborhood I want to be in. There was nothing for sale. And I go, well, everything's for sale. And I got 4 out of the 6 to sell just by knocking on the door.
I mean, you don't know someone who's going through a divorce.
Right.
Someone whose close family member passed away and they need to move. Someone is moving and they need to sell in a hurry. You don't really know what's going on behind closed doors.
You never
know.
You have to ask.
Yeah.
Ask and thou shalt receive.
Ask and thou shalt receive. So let's go back to what you do for your job. We kind of got in there and then we went off on a tangent. Yeah. So what exactly do you do in your coaching?
So what I found the most effective is I used to teach a lot of theory and do this, do that. And then I realized nobody was doing it. They knew what to do, but they didn't do it, which the application of knowledge is the definition of wisdom. So I actually do it with people. So I sit down, I'm like, let's make phone calls together. The craziest story ever was having someone throw up. They were so nervous.
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, you're a top salesperson and you're nervous to make phone calls?
Make phone calls.
You'd be surprised. The majority of salespeople post and pray. They have apps that leave voicemails where they don't want to talk to the person. It's weird. I see everything because I'm like, what's really going on here? Let's sit down. And I went up here with a client and he's like, my salesperson doesn't want to make phone calls, doesn't think that she could make 10 dials in a week.
What?
And exactly. So they had a stack of business cards and I come up and I go, okay, let's call the business cards. Well, we got through 10 in 22 minutes and then she quit an hour after I left. But I said, look, I did you a favor. She didn't want to work. And that's what it comes down to. I think some people need to decide you're either going to be awesome and go all in or go get a job. Like don't insult the industry.
Yeah.
So I feel like people just really need to step up and, you can barely speak English and mumble on the phone and be more successful than someone that's super polished and but doesn't pick up the phone.
Yeah.
You have to take action, and you'll see that your fruit from it. Diligent hands bring wealth.
Yeah.
I mean, they really do.
Yeah, no, it's so true. I've been through two of Tamara's sales training classes, and they were awesome. And some things that I have learned from you. Well, I think one of the first things that you said when I first got started and had no book of business, I was starting from zero. You were like, go through your phone and call everyone in your phone.
Yeah.
So that's what I did. And told them what I was doing. And you know what? That brought them to be like, oh, you need to talk to this person. So I would talk to that person. And then you taught me. Well, then ask the people that you talk to if they have other people that you think that you'd be able to help.
Right.
And that brings me to say, go at it with a helping mindset. Like, don't ask them for something.
Right.
Help them somehow.
Yeah.
And that has been super helpful for me.
Yeah.
Honestly.
And I like to say that salespeople aren't salespeople. They're professional friend finders.
Yes,
and so you have to be a friend first, right? And it's just cool the connections that can happen and where you meet people. And it's just cool to look at the, over time, like, oh, wow, this came from that. Right? Like I think of some clients I have today because you introduced me to them. And it was years ago. So it's like so cool to see the progression of how you can build.
And that's another thing both of us teach is the power of connections and the power of networking and building relationships, because real estate investing is a relationship business. It's all about relationships. It really, truly is all about who you know. I mean, there is the skills, there is the negotiation, but building that network of connections. So another thing that you taught me is when I'm talking to these people, tell them that you're a real estate investor so that you are the person who is on top of mind when they're talking to someone who mentions real estate investing and they're like, oh, you need to talk to Christina.
Right.
So putting that out there, what you do and what you're seeking, it will come back, and it definitely has.
Yeah, you have to be clear, because once you tell people what you're looking for, they'll help you. It's like a memory jogger.
Yeah.
They're going to associate you to investment because you mentioned it. But if you don't mention it, they don't know. It's interesting. I just went to a meeting and people were standing up saying what they do. And I'm like, I don't even know what you do. They'll mention the name of a company and I'm like, I don't know what that company does.
Yeah.
They think that everybody knows, but they don't. And so it's just being very clear. And I think clarity is power. So many people just make assumptions. You don't want to make any assumptions.
Yeah, it is true. You've taught me so much. I feel like every sentence I'm saying is, so another thing that you have taught me is when you do talk to people, you have 6 O's. So you're looking for someone selling land, or I'm looking for someone selling a distressed house, or I'm looking for other real estate investors, or I'm looking for real estate investor associations to go to, throwing all of those oars out there, because then that expands people's minds. Because if I'm just telling you, hey, I'm a real estate investor, you're probably just thinking like, I don't really know how to help that person. But if you're like, or,
yes,
then you have so many other things that you can think about and connect the person to.
I mean, it's a game changer. I tell people, if you call 2 people a week, that's 104 asks in a year, and you do your 6 O's, you'll be up 30%.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like guaranteed, because then you're telling people specifically what you're looking for. And most people are too broad. Do you know anyone that has money? It's like, you got to be specific. It's like, even with sales training, if I said, who do you know that needs a sales coach? Well, you might refer me to, I don't want to be referred to a person that's broke and doesn't have a job. Yes, they need my help, but that's not my clientele, right? It's like, no, I want business owners that want to scale and they're driven. I want to work with people that are hungry. And so it's just recognizing who is it that you really want to be referred to and being very clear about it.
Yeah.
But if you're not clear, you'll probably get a downgraded referral and then be disappointed that you didn't get what you really wanted, but it's simply because you didn't ask for it.
Yeah.
And that goes to negotiation. I mean, there's so many things like, I speak at a lot of conferences and they're like, oh, well, we can't pay your full fee, but, would you take this instead? And so then you start negotiating like, okay, well, you can't take my full fee, but is it going to be professionally filmed? Okay, well, that's very valuable to me, right? So there's a lot of things that you can negotiate with that is a win-win.
Yeah.
Right?
What are they called? Like non-monetary. So have you ever read the book, Don't Split the Difference or Never Split the Difference
I've
by
heard of
Chris
it, but I
Voss?
haven't read it.
Oh my gosh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
It kind of, some of Chris Voss's philosophy does kind of conflict with your philosophy. Like Chris Voss says that there isn't a win-win. Like one person always is winning. Like no, it's typically it's not equal.
That's usually everyone's drive.
Yeah.
That wouldn't be Christ-like in my opinion.
Yeah.
So
true.
Yeah.
And he's the one who taught me about the hard anchor. Yeah, so you should check that one out. That's a good
I will.
one.
I mean, it's you're always going to learn something from everybody. But you know, it's just knowing what you can negotiate going up front. Like, what is it? And sometimes you're like, wow, that turned out better than I thought it would, because I'm getting things that are probably even more valuable than the price.
Yeah.
So it's just, you got to weigh it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And the example, I can't think of the term that he used, but like when you're negotiating salary, if you can't get them to move on the number, then it's like, okay, cool. Well, I want can I have 5 vacation days? And can I get like an extra % match in my 401k?
Sure.
You ask for all these extra things.
Right.
And then you are winning, even if you're not winning just on salary. So
yeah, there's so many tactics that you can negotiate on, but you have to know going up front. And I think for a lot of people, it's writing it down. Like even from a speaking perspective, well, what are the different components that I can negotiate to get the deal? And sometimes it's like I had one meeting planner say, well, Tamara, you know, we want you to give away something for free. And so sometimes it's like, but we'll buy your book for everybody, but then I want an online course for people to walk away with, or can you do a breakout session? And so sometimes it's like, I'll add more, and it's a benefit because the more I speak, the more I'm going to sell. So I'm like, sure, okay, I'll come for that. And then I'll do a breakout session. Yeah. So it's just looking at like, what's their drive. You got to see things from their perspective. Dale Carnegie said, the only way to influence somebody is to talk about what they want and show them how to get it. So you have to see things from their perspective. And I think most people aren't doing that. They're just, what do I want? What do I want? But what do they want? Yes. And seeing it from their perspective, it makes a big difference.
Yes. If you come at it, and we said this earlier, at a perspective of genuinely wanting to help the other person, you will get way more.
Be a professional friend finder. I have gotten business from the craziest places. I mean, the craziest.
Tell us about it.
Okay, so the funniest one was I was doing all the sales training for the Superior School of Real Estate. This is back in the day when Bill Gallagher owned it. And and so I'm doing videos with Bill Gallagher and running sales trainings and whatnot. And I got connected with the U.S. Army. And I got connected with the U.S. Army because they found me on the Superior School of Real Estate website. So it was like, that's how I got, it was so random.
That is random.
It's so random. And actually I got connected with Bill because this is a long time ago. I was on a date at Jade, which isn't even there anymore in Valentine. It was the worst date I had ever been on.
I've been there, I think.
Yeah, they just changed it. They sold it, but it was the worst date I was ever on. So I was like, then I'm like, I'm just going to talk about business because I don't like this guy. And he's like, well, do you know Bill Gallagher? And then he introduced me to Bill Gallagher.
Wow.
So that's how I got introduced to him. And so it's just kind of funny how you, and Bill would joke and say, I met Tamara on a blind date.
That's hilarious.
So it's like, you just never know where things are going to lead, but really you want to be friends with everybody. Never make an assumption that that person can't help you or that person doesn't know somebody. You just never know.
Yeah.
Never. I mean, one of my biggest accounts came from someone I sat to next to on a plane.
Oh, I remember you telling me that story.
Yep. And then another one was the lady doing my nails. She barely spoke English. So, I mean, it's like you just never know.
Wait, the plane story, though, that's the one where you were sitting, what was it, like a cross-country flight, and she talked the entire time?
Yeah, I was actually going to work with real estate investors in Utah. Yeah. And just so you know, it's a 4.5-hour flight. So I was practicing the technique of, it's called the conversation stack. And this is actually a Dale Carnegie thing. And I asked her questions about herself for 4.5 hours. And she talked about herself for 4.5 hours. And then we're coming in for the landing. And I said, it was so interesting talking to you. And she goes, it was so great talking to you. And she goes, what's your name? What do you do? Oh, me. My name's Tamara. I'm a sales coach. She was like, oh my gosh, you have to come into our company. I got the cell phone number of the CEO and poof, huge contract. I mean, I could have lied. She didn't know who I was, but I made her feel important. Mm-hmm. And I think that fuels another underlying issue where people don't like sales because they're just always trying to sell like Costco, like a product. Mm-hmm. And they're just trying to pitch. But, if you're sick and go to a doctor, they're not just going to give you a prescription. They're going to do what they should do is an examination. Then they give a diagnosis, and then you get a prescription. But most salespeople are prescribe. Yeah. And so it's not about you knowing their solutions, it's them receiving it and understanding and sharing with you what are their actual problems. Mm-hmm. And then can you solve that problem? Mm-hmm. And it's all how you articulate it.
Yeah.
It's not what you say, it's how you say it many times. Mm-hmm. So
for sure. Mm-hmm. Y'all, this works. I have taken almost every piece of advice that Tamara has given me, implemented it in my job here at Branch Wealth Partners, and our business has gone from like 0 to 100 within 2 years. I cannot thank you enough.
Wow, well, you're like awesome.
Of tips and I am a good student. I am a learner.
You're a very good student.
But everything that you have said, I have taken it in and done it. So, all right, I think we're going to try a new segment here. And we may need some help from our audience. So we're going to do a new segment. We do have some live listeners, and we're going to do a 5 minutes fast fire of questions. So I'm going to ask you 5 questions. I think we have a few people listening that have jotted down some questions for us. And I'm going to ask you those questions, and we're going to see if you can answer them in 60 seconds or less.
Okay.
So maybe a little longer than 5 minutes because I have to ask you the question and then you have to answer. But we're going to get through these questions and see where that goes. So we have our assistant intern Friday. Thank you.
Okay.
We'll come back to the book.
And then here's your question.
Fantastic.
And then click the start when you're going.
All right, cool. We're going to do this with the timer. It's fun. We're trying to jazz it up here. All right, so just press this button.
Yeah, press the blue button. It's not a touch screen, Christine.
I always think it's a touch screen.
I don't know why apples aren't touch screen yet.
Okay, use your mouse pad.
We got it.
Yep.
Thank you so much. Okay.
There we go. Let's go.
So, technical difficulties. First question for you. Mm-hmm. What is the best daily habits that the real estate investors out there listening could implement in their lives right now to help them in their lives get into the game?
That's easy. 1 dial a day. Just start with 1. Do the hardest thing first, right? And they say, how do you set your priorities? You do the hardest thing first. So make the phone call. That's a money-producing activity. And then if the whole day goes away, at least you did something that was money-producing. Mm-hmm. And it really changes how you feel, because when you feel more empowered, you'll do more.
Yeah.
So start with 1.
1 call a day. Eat the frog.
That's right.
Love that. Okay. What is your best negotiation tip for the real estate investors out there?
Probably the one I said earlier, which is you never get what you deserve. You only get what you negotiate. So it really is true. People never feel like they get paid enough. Never, God, I didn't get a good enough deal or whatnot. But you have to look long term, and you've got to make an offer.
Yeah, that's all you got to do is make the offers. I know it is a law of numbers. Just make the offers, make the offer. You'll get a lot of no's, but you'll eventually get 1 yes.
That's right. You have to go through a lot of sand to find a golden nugget.
That is true. Mm-hmm. Okay, so what is the best mindset shift that real estate investors out there can make today?
Best mindset shift. Be around someone better than you. And when you're around somebody better, you put 1 rotten potato in a good bag of potatoes, the whole bag will rot.
Spoil.
So, be around someone that's better than you. And the next thing you could do is call a happy customer as your first phone call. That's what I was taught when I worked for Dale Carnegie back in the day, 20 years ago, was call a happy person, because that'll set the tone for the day.
That's a great idea.
So that'll shift your mindset. Be around happy people and ask them, why did you choose to work with me? Why did you, and that will build you up. Because your mindset is key. I mean, it's 80% of your success.
Yeah. If you're around 5 idiots, you'll be the 6th. If you are around 5 go-getter hustlers, you will be the 6th. Mm-hmm. Yep. I get that. All right. What is your best piece of advice on how to in other ways?
Yeah.
But outside of the things that you've already said, what's another piece of advice that you would want our listeners to know?
Okay, so a piece of advice I got from a book that I'm reading right now, which is called How to Heal Soul Wounds and Be Free of Demons. So anyway, I like the healing and deliverance ministry. And he said in this book, it's so good. He said, be careful to not associate with people that are in compromise. So who are you spending time with that are compromising their values, compromising their Christianity, not walking a pure walk? And so it's just convicting. Like, who am I spending time with?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously Jesus spent time with people that were sinners, but at the same time, am I being around people that are building me up or tearing me down?
Yeah.
And it's very true.
Yes, I agree with that. 100%.
Yeah.
Okay, we're doing really good on time here. All right, last question for you right now. What is the best book that you think for sales skills?
Okay, the best is Green Eggs and Ham.
Oh, yes.
I do not like those green eggs and ham on a goat, on a boat, on a train, on a plane. I do not like green eggs and ham, and I love it because everybody's read it. And if you count the amount of times that he said no, it was 69. 69 times he said, I do not like green eggs and ham. And then on the 70th time, he tried it and he loved it. So don't be discouraged by a no. I mean, they say go for no. I don't like that theory. I think it's more like just keep going till you get a yes, because eventually everybo's going to buy. They just don't buy when you need a commission.
Yes,
but they're going to buy. Right. So just keep
buys.
going. Just keep going. So I would say that's probably the best sales book that everybody has. But if they want something a little more meatier, of course they could buy my book. But I'm a little prejudiced.
We can talk about that. We'll talk about that next.
Yeah.
One more book.
Okay. I mean, since we're talking about Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People is a classic. I just think everybody needs to read it because they're professional friend finders.
I know,
but I think we were right at about that time. So that is perfect. And that is a great segue into your book.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that. Proverbs for Selling.
Yes. So, yes, I'm a Bible girl, and the book of Proverbs is the book of wisdom in the Bible. So, and Jesus was the best salesman because he did sell more books than anybody else. So, might as well model the best. You know, so find out who is better and figure out what he's doing. And so I just took those wisdom principles and put into, I think people need to, they need to prospect. They need to know how to ask for vertical referrals, and they need to be disciplined to do the money producing activity. Because I've never met an enthusiastic failure ever. Never met someone like that. So if someone's hungry, it's easy to teach them skill.
Yeah.
But if they're not hungry, I charge more.
Yeah. No,
it's a lot of work.
I get that. And as you can see, the people that are watching this on YouTube, I have tabs in here. I have been through this book so many times. One thing that I want to bring up that we didn't talk about that I think people would want to know is, so when you're making these cold calls and people don't pick up, do you leave a voicemail? Or do you call? How many times do you call them?
Okay, yeah. Okay, so one, you never give up. Someone just asked me that the other day. When do I stop? Never, because eventually everybody buys. Okay. Never pitch on voicemail. It's just like LinkedIn. People pitch. I get like 18 a day. I'm like, stop pitching me. Actually, if someone called me, I would buy because I'm really gifted in purchasing nice things. but like nobody's calling anybody.
Yeah.
So you have to leave a message to get a returned voicemail. But I think the biggest thing with cold calling is if people tell me they don't like it, what they're telling me is they don't like meeting new people, which is telling me they shouldn't be in sales. So you're a professional friend finder. So it's really about how you approach it and then figuring out how to do it in a classy way. But you have to leave a voicemail. And in fact, in my class, I go over voicemail 1 through 12 because that's the max I think you should call someone in a year, just 12 times, not in a day or a week. That's stalking. But eventually everybody's going to buy. But then what do you do after that? Well, you start over again the next year, because eventually everybody's going to buy. So I give you a strategy 1 through 12 when you're calling a prospect. I err on the side of friendship. People got the message, but you just have to not be so aggressive up front and then stop. Because the number one reason people don't call you is they can't find your phone number. What was that person's name? Then they scroll through Facebook. I swear I know this person, but they need to post something because people don't save numbers. They can't remember who it is. And so you've got to diversify your approach and communication with people.
Yeah.
And most people are too heavy on the social media side, and they're not diversifying with phone calls and texting and email. Direct mail is just as effective as cold calling today.
Really? So that is one thing that they teach real estate investors early on when they start. It's cold calling, knocking on doors, sending letters.
Yeah, so I will tell you right now. So I tell anybody, look, if you call 100 people, you'll get one client out of 100 if you're cold calling. Okay, that's like guaranteed. It's the same thing with postcards. You can send out 100 postcards, you're going to get one client. I could send out 100 books to VP of sales at companies, and I'll get one client from it. From the one-hit wonder action. Most salespeople will call one time and they're done. So you don't want to be a one-hit wonder. That's the one-hit wonder approach. Yeah. But if you keep calling, your odds significantly increase. So we need to do that. But I just worked with a company where I got down to 2 appointments for every 40 to 50 dials. And they were getting 1 out of 600 when they started, which was like horrible. I was like, how are you in business?
Yeah.
But I will tell you that you get better. You learn how to get through gatekeepers. Now, in real estate, the gatekeeper is the spouse. So you're going to run into that. And spouses are what? Opposites. So you're like one, but not the other. Yeah. Typically.
That makes sense.
So I will tell you that you have to leave a voicemail, because today the stats used to be, you have to hit someone like marketing 7 to 12 times, but now it's 22 times. Oh, wow. Because people are so bombarded with so much information coming from all different directions. And you just have to be better. You have to be better today. You have to be very articulate and fast. Yeah. The average attention span's 8 seconds now. Okay. So you go watch a TikTok video and I'm like, get to the point. I don't even want to know your
that
name.
Hook immediately.
Just tell me. Yeah. What am I going to walk away with? I will say to videos, I don't care. Get to the message.
Yeah. No, I get that. Gosh, I could sit here and ask you so many questions, because I have seen Tamara speak 10 times. I've been to several conferences. I've been in her class several times. So I seriously could have you talk about all of your tips and tricks, but I'm not going to make you do that because people pay for that. So that being said, let's tell people where they can find you, how they can get in contact with you, and then we'll also link it in the podcast. But tell people where they can find you.
Well, they can find me through you.
Of course. They can.
Yes. Which is good. And I really, really respect what you do and how you do it. You make all of my clients look awesome. So I will send anybody to you. That's how you do it. But how do you find me? Anywhere. I'm everywhere. Online. TamaraBunte.com.
Okay. Yep. Yeah. That's good.
That's easy. And I have a lot of resources on my website that I just give away for free. But really, it's, and a lot of times locally I'll come and I'll speak to different groups here in the Charlotte area, which is super fun because you make new friends. But really, people that are committed and want to grow, if they're like, let's sit down and I had a one-on-one yesterday for 6 hours. And she said, I want to be organized and make phone calls. And that's exactly what we did. And she made more phone calls in 6 hours than she had made in the last 6 months. But she didn't really know how to do it. And so I'm like, let's do it together. And then let's get you organized. Okay, now you've made a phone call. You got to put a note. And then you got to schedule a follow-up or an appointment. It's like people are so overwhelmed by all the technology. They don't know how to manage it appropriately. And
you literally do sit there with people, have them make phone calls, have them organize their CRM. You are actually doing this.
Yeah, this woman, I actually set up a new domain, set up her email address, set up her 5-star Google reviews. I mean, we did everything because most people don't have it set up, or they're coming across. Here's another thing too, is they're using a personal email for business. You can't say Betty the Realtor 123@gmail.com. I'm like, you're not even in business. You can't afford a $6 a month email address. So there's little things that can affect whether or not someone does business with you or not. When I hand out materials, I use the nicest paper.
Yeah.
And I've had people say, I'm hiring you because of your marketing materials. I'm like, really? I just like nice things. But it's really important. Don't give away cheap stuff, things that people throw away. I give away diamond pens and people love them. And they're like, how do I buy more for my whole team? And so you want to just do everything with excellence. So I believe if you do that, and I believe you're honoring God, honoring your clients, and and you're just going to make more money. And so people tend to like me. So
yeah,
good news.
For sure. I love it. Well, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
And I hope you guys learned so much from Tamara. She seriously is a wealth of knowledge. If you are a real estate investor and you're getting started in your career and you need some just little tweaks or a lot of help with your negotiation, organization, anything, she's your girl. But thank you for stopping by, branching out.